But yes, up next, Geo Baker and Ron Harper Jr., who desperately need, in my opinion, they desperately need to beat Indiana, although they're going to beat Penn State most likely afterwards. They're still, someone pointed out, their net is like 80, in the 80s. They've got a better conference record than Indiana, but their overall record is not, and they've had problems with all. They went from being solidly in the tournament a week or two ago to becoming Indiana. Now they're on the bubble, and lost to Indiana would put them squarely at the bottom of the bubble, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the biggest thing for them that's really now going to show up are some of those bad non-conference losses that they had. Lost to DePaul, lost to Lafayette, lost to UMass. That really, obviously, at the time, you thought, okay, it's not really going to matter because this Rutgers team isn't going to probably be the same team that they had last year or the year before that's going to be fighting for an NCAA tournament spot. And they really weren't that team until they hit that 4-game winning streak against ranked opponents there in the Big Ten about a week and a half ago. And then they turn around and lose 3 in a row right after that. Now, granted, all to pretty solid teams and into good teams that will be in the NCAA tournament, but you can't go 4 wins and then 3 losses like that and expect to kind of stay in that same boat. So yeah, I mean, I think this game's a lot more important for Rutgers because you look at those non-conference losses. Indiana, obviously, that Syracuse loss is really bad at this point, but I think St. John's still not a good win, but a much better win than what Rutgers has been able to have in the non-conference. And then that Notre Dame win is now a quad 1 win because of the way that they've been able to play over the last month and a half here, sitting second in the ACC and a team that's solidly in the NCAA tournament. So when you look at the whole records and the schedules and the big time kind of signature wins, you look from top to bottom, and Indiana has a much better resume than Rutgers. And I think that obviously shows by sitting about 40, 50 spots higher than Rutgers for most of the season in the net. But yeah, I mean, I think again, for Indiana, you just win this game and you'll be comfortably in, as long as you don't kind of cough up a first round exit in the Big Ten tournament. And that's basically all they have to do to get in the tournament. So I think if you told fans all you have to do is beat Rutgers at home with a week left, and you'll be in the NCAA tournament at the start of the season, I think fans still would have taken that. So all things considered, I think this is a time that Indiana fans definitely need to show up for the team and get into Assembly Hall on a Wednesday night and make sure that there's no potential for a loss there.
But Don Fisher also pointed out this is a Rutgers team that Indiana has lost 3 or 4 straight to. So it's not just that simple. What does Indiana need to do in this game to win? I mean, to me, it's obvious. They need to play like they did against Minnesota without the collapse. The guards, specifically Xavier Johnson, has really played unbelievably in his last few games. He is scoring the ball. He is, more importantly, distributing the ball. His stat line was crazy early on, but he finished with 24 points on 7 of 16 shooting overall, 4 of 6 behind the 3-point line. A little shaky at the free throw line at 6 of 9. He's normally killer there, but he had 6 rebounds and 8 assists.
And 1 turnover. That's it.
Oh, and just 1 turnover. So what? You can't get better play than that from your point guard. My God, not many people have a point guard that leads the team in scoring. He was a second high rebounder, and of course led the team in assists. He's come around. I don't know. The Northwestern game was kind of, the issue was, I think, a wake-up call for him. I know he was also going through a personal situation. He losing his grandfather, but it seems like if anybody has done a 180, it's Xavier Johnson.
Yeah, and he was playing phenomenal the 4 or 5 games before that Northwestern suspension as well. So that really kind of set him back. That set Indiana back in a big way. But yeah, 48 points, 14 assists, and 4 turnovers in the last 2 games. Obviously, the Maryland game, the perfect for shooting from the floor as well, but 7 for 9 from 3 in those 2 games as well. Obviously, I don't think fans expect him to shoot that high percentage game in and game out, but if you're getting about 2 threes a game from Xavier Johnson, that's going to put a lot more pressure on that defense because you're not going to be able to sag off of him and double down from that point guard position, a lot like what Wisconsin does. So it's going to come down to whether or not Xavier Johnson can hit the outside shot, hit kind of that 17, 18 footer, because we saw the inability to do that against Wisconsin, and that offense just completely shuts down if he's not able to do that, because he's not going to be able to get to the rim if the defense is sagging off that much and kind of packing it in. I think that's kind of been underrated as well over the last 2 games has been the play of Miller Kopp as well. Obviously, had 10 last night, had 8 against Maryland. Nothing super flashy, but I think he talked about it last night post game. Is just now obviously you would like to have him say this about a month ago, but he's really started to feel a lot more comfortable in when he can pick his spots and when he needs to pick his spots. And he's shown that in the last 2 games. And again, you don't need him to be a 20-point per game scorer or even a double-digit guy, but you need him to be able to pick those spots and be comfortable and confident in those shots when he does take them, because that opens up so much more for the Indiana offense if you do have a guy like Miller Kopp opposite of Parker Stewart who can hit the outside shot. Then you can't really sag off of either one of those guys. Creates a lot more opening in the paint for not only Trace Jackson Davis and Race Thompson, but Xavier Johnson and Rob Finney if they're going to be taking guys off of the dribble. And so I think his improved play over the last 2 games has been kind of one of those overlooked aspects because of the play of Xavier Johnson, but it's also contributed to that because of his ability to knock down a few shots from the outside, but also just look a lot more comfortable in what his role is right now.